Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Rewind that. It's your girl, Miss K. If this is your first time coming across my channel, welcome. Please be sure to subscribe if you like the vibe and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this one. Today, guys, we're going to be going over the latest episode of P-Valley Season 2, episode number 7, called Jackson. All right, and the episode starts off with Miss Ernestine singing. Okay, you can tell that she's at the Pink, vintage Pink, okay, when she owned the spot and she is singing. And I just have to say that I love the fact that they had Loretta Devine grace us with her unique voice. I love it. And I also love her little rendition on Till You Come Back to Me, that's what I'm gonna do. Anyway, also me seeing Miss Ernestine singing like that, it just gave me a bad feeling. I was like, oh gosh, this is not good. She's having all these dreams. You know, she saw her daughter in the dream and her daughter came and she said, okay, Mama, it's time to come on. Miss Ernestine was like, no, not yet, you know. And I was like, oh my gosh. So, you know, as time goes on, guys, Miss Ernestine, you know, she keeps hallucinating. When she woke up from her dream, Murda came in and he was taking care of her. He brought her some food, okay? Listen, though, I guess homeboy could cook too. You know what I'm saying? Everything on that plate was looking scrumptious. I don't eat pork, but everything looked good, okay? So she was loving it too. She ain't want none of Uncle Clifford's food. Whatever he done made, she did not want it. But she loves what Lil Murda made, okay? So anyway, her sense of smell is still there. We do notice that. So she didn't lose her sense of smell like a lot of people did that had COVID. And she also told him, well, you know what else I smell? I smell death. And I smelt it all on you that night that you came, all that blood and all of this stuff. So that was pretty, it was kind of eerie. You know, I felt two ways about that. I felt like she smelt the death of Teak. But then I kind of also felt that she smelled like her own death. You know what I'm saying, guys? And look, I've been telling y'all from the night that I put this out there that I feel like she's going to die. I've been telling y'all that I want to be wrong. But after this episode, guys, I am really, really, really sad, man. I was like, I was almost ready to cry in this episode because I was like, I think she going. And my thing is, look, if she could survive, I will be so freaking happy. But toward the end, you know, when she just kind of left the scene and went by the river and she want to throw herself in there, she, you know, she can hear her daughter's voice calling her. And, you know, she's like, I'm coming. You know, now she's saying she wants to go, you know, let me go to the water. If I can't go to the water, bring it to me. You know, it's just, it was just really sad. And then like her fingernails was blue. So you know that she's not getting a lot of oxygen now. And so then Uncle Clifford was like, let's take her back to the house. And I'm over here like, what you mean take her back to the house? She needs to go to the hospital, you know. Of course, it was kind of scary to send somebody to the hospital because they didn't let nobody in to visit, you know. So it was definitely a lonely place. So we did finally see that when they got her back home, they did call the ambulance and Clifford couldn't go with her. And Miss Ernestine kept saying, I don't want to die alone. I don't want to die alone. That right there was really sad, guys. And I was, oh my gosh, y'all know I be getting emotional and stuff. So, my thing is when she was saying that, I felt like that almost sealed the deal for me to let us know that she probably is going to die alone. You know, these people that had COVID and when they went into the hospital, their families couldn't even come say goodbye. So freaking sad. I'm hoping, like, this is TV, so I'm hoping that they will turn it around somehow and don't let Miss Ernestine die alone. But you know what? If they do show her dying, it probably won't be bad because they'll probably let her daughter, you know, come to her visions again. And this way it'll be a easy and peaceful transition for her. You know what I mean? So I don't know, but that's enough of Miss Ernestine. I just kind of wanted to go over everything that happened with her in this episode. So we're not going scene by scene, guys, obviously. When I get to a character, I'm going to say what I have to say about that character and end with that character. All right, so speaking of character, oh my gosh, let's go to Haley. So she comes to the Pink where she sees Clifford sitting there and he is reminiscing a lot, okay? And he's telling her of all the memories. Now, let me tell you guys something, okay? This really opens up a lot more than I thought it would because For all we knew, it was grandmother's establishment, right? The Pink. But I didn't know that it was his grandfather here, his uncle, all of these ancestors of his and these great memories that he has in this place. And this is what I keep trying to tell a lot of other people, that it's not going to be easy to sell the Pink, because it's more than just a building to Uncle Clifford. This building is a legacy for him. It's memories, it's sentimental value, all those things that you cannot put a price on. But, only the people that would not sell their souls understand where the heck I'm coming from. Only the people that money can't buy you understand where I'm coming from. All right. Now we have Haley, who's listening to all these memories. Clifford is telling her all of the stuff that used to go on when he was a kid, everything that he's seen growing up, memory after memory. And she gonna tell this man he is not gonna convince her not to sell. And I'm just like, this chick is so freaking cold. I mean, even after Clifford tells her, like, this place is all I got, it's the only thing that's ever been given to me, this girl does not care, okay? Now, she's telling him, look, Promised Land offered me $5 million, but I'm not going to take it because I want 10. Now, when she said $5 million, Clifford did kind of look like, what? You ain't going to take it, girl. But then he kind of caught himself and he was like, I mean, good, but why? So then she tries to say, I'm going to get you what you deserve. And he was like, don't try to make this about me. Daggone well, it's not about me. This is about you. Actually, Uncle Clifford said, nah. What you not gonna do is piss in my mouth and call it Kool-Aid. This ain't about me or my ancestors. This is about you. Then Haley gonna talk about something. No, this about the money that saved this club, the money I lost my daughter over. And I'm like, okay, where the heck is this coming from? How is you selling the Pink gonna make you feel better about losing your daughter? Like, you didn't even know about the Pink when you lost your daughter. So how are you trying to tie all that in? This is why I don't like this girl anymore. Yeah, we heard a little more of what was going on in her life, and she never had nobody. Clearly she was given away, or she grew up in foster care or something like that. But the girl just gets on my freaking nerves, okay? Anyway, so she gonna go on and say, the money that I lost my daughter for, the money that was supposed to give me a new life and all of that. So how you go up into somebody else's establishment and you sell that and try to say that this is another chance for you to have a new life and you're going to do it in memory of your daughter, or whatever the heck she was trying to say, guys. It was just irking the crap out of me, okay? So she tells Clifford that this may not be my inheritance, but right now it's my dream and I'm not going to let it go to waste. Then she says she can't do that, not to her, meaning not to her daughter. And I'm just like, of course, everyone's sorry that you lost your baby, but what does all of this have to do with anything? Like, that just didn't make no daggone sense to me. And Uncle Clifford had to tell her, look, child, your baby is gone, okay? No disrespect. And he said it in the most gentle way possible, and he walked off and left her with her thoughts, okay? Now let's wrap this whole thing with Haley up and not talk about her again for the rest of this recap, okay? So we see Mississippi in the store with her man and the children, and they're shopping, of course, because she can't go to the store on her own because he is not letting her out of his sight, all right? So we see that Haley is in the store lurking, and she gets Keyshawn's attention. Keyshawn tells her man that she has to go and, get some more makeup for, this on my face. Because honestly, guys, it looks like that mark on her face, that black eye, it looked like it's new. All right, it looked fresh to me. So she goes and excuses herself, and that's when she meets up with Haley. And Haley was like, I thought I'd find you here. And then Haley tells her, she said, I see you and use my gun, And long story short, I do appreciate this about Haley, where she, goes out of her way to try to see what's up with Keyshawn, checking on her basically, and letting her know that you can get out of this, girl. You know what I'm saying? Because Keyshawn let her know that she couldn't do it. She couldn't kill the man. And, she got her kids in the house and all of this stuff. So that's when Haley tells her there are other ways. We see later on that Haley comes to Keyshawn's house. to pay a visit. She brings a little gift. She says that it's something for Regal. And so they go into Regal's bedroom, and Haley asks if she could hold Regal. Remember in the first season when Regal was very small and Keyshawn needed to go on stage, there was really nobody around to hold her, and Haley was acting like she didn't really want to hold her, because of the situation that happened with her daughter. But this time she wants to hold Regal, and then she starts telling this little fairy tale bedtime story. And she put a little spin on the story that happened with her and Montavious, and how the flood represented her tears, and the tears eventually killed her daughter because she waited too long to get away. I do like that story. I do appreciate Haley coming over to tell that story and basically letting her know that if you don't get out, it's going to be some consequences. Something's probably going to happen that you don't want to happen. Now, a lot of people have been saying that they think that one of Keyshawn's kids are going to get killed. Now, if this is a kind of like a warning, not really a foreshadowing, but more like a warning, with Haley coming over there telling her, listen, my own tears drowns my daughter because it was too late. I waited too long to leave. This could also play into what would happen if Keyshawn doesn't move quickly. All right. We don't know where she put that freaking gun, but I'm hoping, and so are a lot of you, that the 3-year-old baby does not get a hold of that gun, okay, and fire it off and kill the little baby or kill himself, right? So I don't know. I'm really hoping that's not going to happen. This season has already been filled with so much ups and downs and just sad moments and all of that. So I'm not putting it past it. Okay, I'm really not. All right, but anyway, that was that. So I still don't like Haley. I don't care. I still don't like her. But these are the moments right here that I saw in last season where it made me like her. But when it comes to this situation and her trying to sell P-Valley, that makes me want to get rid of the chick, okay? Now, anyway, let's move on to what's going on in Mercedes' world. In Mercedes' world, we got this little young lady named Terrica, who is her daughter, as we know. Last week's episode, she came over acting all devastated, crying about being pregnant and stuff, like she didn't know what she was doing, okay? But in this episode, she seemed mighty happy to be pregnant, bragging about her little cravings and in the mirror admiring her stomach, which seemed to get a little bigger every time we turned around, guys, right? 1 minute the stomach, you probably see a tiny little bump. Next thing you know, that sucker just coming out and out. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? So, she like, all right, let's go. We're going to go to TCBY. I think that's where they sell like froyo and stuff like that, right? But Mercedes wasn't really taking Terrica to TCBY. She was taking her to the clinic to get checked out and everything, and she needs to make a decision, okay? Because she been telling Shell that she just gonna stay over here for a little while. I think it's been 3 nights so far and all of that, okay? So now they're driving and they're going to Jackson, and they get inside the clinic. And there's pro-lifers out there, and they're picketing and everything, so they got to walk past them. Now, before they get down to the clinic, I can't skip over the part where Mercedes had to knock fire out her daughter's mouth. I thought she punched her in the mouth, to be honest, okay? But I guess she backhanded her. But Terrica was really a little too loose with her lips in this episode. She was being very disrespectful towards Mercedes, saying a lot of things about her and her past, and you don't have love and you jealous, and, just talking about her life as a stripper and all of this stuff. I'm not going to repeat everything because honestly, I just don't remember everything that she was saying, but I know that she was saying a lot of rude things, and Mercedes popped her. Now, I know some of you are some anti-poppers of your children, but I'm not, so I was definitely here for it. You're rude, you need to get popped, okay? Now, the young lady tells her mother that I'll never hit my kid and all of this stuff, right? And Mercedes was like, that's the same thing I said when I was your age, And here you go. Now, some people think that way. I'm not going to hit my kids. Then they kid get all smart with them and say something disrespectful, and you, oops, upside your head. I said, oops, upside your head. Didn't even know you was going to get it. But you got it. Anywho, long story short, guys, the rudeness continues. The outburst continues. We find out that her little boyfriend, Kelvin, wants to keep the baby. Mercedes tells her, listen, your father, Cortez, he told me he loved me, all of that stuff. But then when he found that I was pregnant, that man showed me there was no love at all. Okay. So they get to the clinic and they see the baby. The baby is big, guys. Okay. I'm talking about fetus. So when Terrica sees the baby, she's like, that's my baby. And the doctor says yes. And she was like, so what you gonna do? You just gonna suck that out of me? Is it gonna give me cancer and all this stuff? Because she done heard some ignorant mess from her friend and her friend's mother and all that, saying that abortions give you cancer and all of this craziness. So the doctor tells her, no, but you could have some bleeding, infection, blood clots. But those risks are also associated with childbirth, you know. So because Terrica is 14 weeks along, she only has 24 hours to make a decision because the window is definitely closing. All right. So Terrica and Mercedes, they go back to a hotel and she has another little outburst. She goes into the bathroom because her thing is, why didn't her mother ever try to fight for her and raise her? This is not the first time that we heard Terrica express this. Okay. She is heard about this and everything. So, you know, she goes into the bathroom and she's crying and Mercedes tells her, listen, I'm trying to do the best that I can. And she just wants her to have a choice. You know, my mother never gave me a choice. And she says, I'm not going to lie to you and say that I never thought about an abortion or considered an abortion, but my mother made me have you and she didn't give me a choice. You know, but I'm happy that I had you. And at the end of the day, Mercedes just wanted to do something different than what Patrice did for her, which is to just give Terrica a choice. All right. But before we move on, I also do want to mention that we saw a flashback scene with Mercedes in a restaurant with her mother, Patrice. And I'm telling you, that woman was horrible. Okay. She didn't have the money to pay the bill, and she know that there was this guy over there looking at Sadie's all lustfully and stuff. So she tells Sadie's she don't got enough money, so why don't you go ahead and do your thing, you know, do what you do basically. And Mercedes like, no, I got it. She pulls out her wallet. She got a bunch of money in her wallet and she got condoms in the wallet. So Patrice starts flipping out, and it was just really weird to me because it's like, wait a minute now, you basically selling her off to strange men, but she can't have a relationship where she getting money from a dude that she's regularly seeing. I mean, it was really odd. It also reminded me of someone who just wanted to be in control of every daggone thing. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, she starts beating the crap out of Mercedes in the restaurant in front of everyone. And I'm just like, wow, she really had a tough upbringing. So I do see why she wanted to give her daughter that choice and everything. But it's just a tough thing. At some point, I almost wanted her to just call Shell and let Shell deal with it because she's the guardian. But that's neither here nor there. So anyway, back to Mercedes and Terrica. Mercedes is talking to Terrica through the door and she's just telling her, you know, you right, I did mess up. And Mercedes tells Terrica that she is thankful that she had her because sometimes God uses the devil to give you your blessing. And that's when she says, all I ever wanted was for you to have choices. So Terrica finally comes out and they make up. But before we move on to the final decision that Terrica makes, I like how when they sat back down on the bed and they were talking and Mercedes says, you know, we have a lot of lost time to make up for. So what we going to do about your room? Like, what color do you want to paint it? Green? And Terrica's looking at her like, how you know? She doesn't realize how much Mercedes pays attention to all of these details, you know, about her life, even down to how she went from liking purple to green. So that was cute. All right. Now, the next day, when they get up, Mercedes says, you are going to choose what you want to do today. And she gives her the keys so she could drive. Because the day before when they were supposed to be going to TCBY, Terrica asked if she could drive and Mercedes was like, no. Okay. But this time Mercedes says, you going to choose whether we go to Chucalissa or Jackson. And she gave Terrica the keys and Terrica was driving and we saw the sign for Jackson. Terrica put on that blinker, honey, and exit right off the highway to Jackson. And Mercedes had the biggest smile on her face, honey, like, yes, you know. So she definitely was happy about that. Now let's go to our final character that we're going to talk about before we end, and that is Uncle Clifford. Now, we already know that he had his conversation with Haley. Then he gets home and he's about to freak out because he felt like the house was robbed and all of this stuff, that he was concerned about grandmother, only to see that Lil Murda was already taking care of her. He done checked her blood sugar, took her temperature, everything on the list he did, okay? And I just love seeing Lil Murda take care of Miss Ernestine like that, all right? Even during his own time of just being heartbroken and devastated over Teak, he's, he was dreaming about him. He had memories flashing through his head about what happened with them on tour and then after tour and all of that stuff. So it's really hard for him. He's in and out of crying. And then he also has a conversation with Uncle Clifford, and Uncle Clifford was like, "Are you good?" And Lil Murda was like, "Yeah, trying to front, of course." And Uncle Clifford was like, "Well, I heard you crying in your sleep last night." So I would love for Lil Murda to kind of just get it out and, just deal with it instead of kind of dealing with it on his own, but in due time, right? So anyway, back to Uncle Clifford. Well, honestly, a lot of what's going on with Uncle Clifford in this episode, you can't not talk about Lil Murda, right? Because they were mostly together throughout this whole time. So you see that they reconnected and everything. And, Lil Murda goes into Uncle Clifford's room where he got all his clothes and everything. And we see that he had this Gucci bag since he was like 3 years old. And Lil Murda was like, "You had a pocketbook since you was 3, And Uncle Clifford was like, "Yes. And my mom would beat anybody up that had anything to say about it too, okay?" So, it was just cute little moments going on between them. And they had the little Cisco joke and all of the stuff that he was pulling out of his closet. Lil Murda was looking at it like, what in the world is this, But they did start to have like a serious conversation. And Lil Murda was asking Uncle Clifford, like, "What are you?" Like, I'm not trying to judge or anything, but I just want to know. He was really saying, so you always been like this? Like, I don't mean no offense, but I just like, what are you? And Uncle Clifford was like, "I'm Uncle Clifford." And we also see in Miss Ernestine's flashback that he been Uncle Clifford since he was a baby, which I would love to know how that name came about, all right? Which I love the name, but I want to know how it came about. I need more of Uncle Clifford's backstory, guys. But here's the big question. Uncle Clifford says, "What are you?" And Lil Murda says, "Who the world won't let me be," right? And then he starts to say something that was very interesting. He tells Uncle Clifford that the dudes that he used to mess with, they looked like him and all of that, so it was passable. Like, nobody knew what was going on. They was able to just look like they was regular homies, go out, look like friends, nobody suspect nothing, okay? Of course, I'm embellishing a little bit. If he's in a relationship with Uncle Clifford, he can't hide the fact that he's gay because look at Uncle Clifford, right? And of course, after he said, we could pass, that's when Uncle Clifford said, "Well, ain't no passing with me." And obviously, that's exactly what Lil Murda was talking about. But I love how Uncle Clifford was telling him before that he was upset or disappointed in Lil Murda's decision, but he understands why he did what he did, because people don't realize how lonely it could be when you shine so bright. It could be a lonely place, a lonely feeling, things like that. And he knows that Lil Murda just wasn't ready to stand in the sun. A lot of times I love like the lines. They're pretty poetic in this show. So I always appreciate those kind of lines. All right. But anyway, their conversation is interrupted by this like thud type of sound, right? So it could have sounded like Miss Ernestine done fell out the bed or something like that. But Miss Ernestine done left the house. We talked about this earlier. She left the house. She went down by the river trying to get in the water and all of this stuff. And that's how they wound up having to take her to the hospital. Now, as Miss Ernestine is being taken to the hospital, Uncle Clifford is home and he's crying in the shower. And when he gets out of the shower, Lil Murda is trying to make him, he's trying to lift his spirits. So he's in Clifford's room and he wearing Clifford's clothes, the little frilly stuff and everything, the feathers, whatever you want to call them, just trying to be funny and making Clifford laugh. So it was good, but it still turned emotional for Clifford. And that moment turned into an intimate moment between them, and they started to have sex and all of that stuff. And my thing about that whole scene is that I didn't like how when Uncle Clifford pulls out the condom, Lil Murda says, we don't need that. And I'm just like, are you freaking kidding me? What you mean we don't need that, you know? So Uncle Clifford says, are you good? Meaning, are you negative? And Lil Murda says yes. Now, my thing is, how in the heck is that checking if somebody's negative? I mean, I doubt if Lil Murda was HIV positive that he would do anything to hurt Clifford. You know what I'm saying? I believe he would tell him the truth. But come on now, Uncle Clifford, at the end of the day, you disappointed me. I thought you would be more responsible than that. But anyway, guys, that is what happened. That is what they did. And I don't know what this is going to mean for their relationship, but clearly they have rekindled. But that was that, guys. The last scene wasn't with Uncle Clifford and Lil Murda. It was actually with Keyshawn being left with her thoughts by Haley on whether she gonna leave this man or not, okay? But let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this one. Until next time, you guys take care and be blessed, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.